Okay, so this question is on binomial, and the first part actually directly asks you for the general term. So for the general term, the formula is like this. So you must remember the formula, and then you look at the question here. You should be able to tell that n is equal to 8, a is equal to 3 over x squared, b is equal to x. So you should be able to plug into the general formula. Okay, so you can focus on the general formula first. Then later on after we are done with the general formula, then we try to explain. Okay, so I focus on the general formula first. So for some of you, if you already forgot how general formula works, after you put in your A, B, N, your job is to try to separate the X and the non-X. So what do I mean by I separate the X and the non-X? So for example, here I apply some indices. So the power should be given to 3. The power is also given to X. So don't forget to assign the power to the number and X. So this is the part that doesn't contain X. So leave it alone. This is the part that doesn't contain X. For the part that contains X, you should try to apply same base multiplication. So you should try to add the power because you're doing a same base multiplication. So simplify your power. Okay, after you've gotten your general formula, your job is to explain why every term is dependent on X. That means, right, every term there is an X. So in another way, your job is to explain why there are no term independent of X. So you are supposed to explain why there are no term independent of X. So that means there are no constant at all. Every term there is an X. So that's what they are trying to say. So how are we going to explain, right? So I'm going to explain if there are no independent, so I'm going to explain about term independent of X first. For the term independent of X, that means, right, if I want a constant term, my power will be a 0. So if I would like a constant term, my power will be a 0. So when I try doing this, I'm not getting a whole number. So I'm not getting a whole number. Therefore, there are no term independent of X. So I don't have a constant term. So when I don't have a constant term, that means, right, every term contain X. So the meaning of every term contain X means it's dependent on X. So they just phrase it in a more fanciful way. So that's how I explain. I use the idea of term independent of X. So think about constant. For constant to happen, okay, the power is 0. But when I try to set the power equal to 0, I'm not getting R as the whole number. So therefore, there won't be any term independent of X, meaning there are no constant. So in this expansion, if I expand out to everything, I'm not going to get any constant at all. Okay, so do bear in mind. Okay, then in the next part, I'm going to apply my arrow method. I'm going to apply my arrow method to get a constant in the expansion. So you would like to, do the arrow method and get a constant. So you got to do some planning first. So first of all, if I get a constant, if I can get a constant here, the constant can be multiplied to 5. So constant times constant, you will get another constant. Okay, then how am I gonna get another constant here? I will get this. So I will need this to be multiplied to this so that the x can be cancelled. So this will be my plan. I will need 2 arrows to multiply so that I can get a term independent of x. However, in the first part, we already know that this has no constant. We already know that from the first part, it doesn't have any constant. So I can only find this one. So this will be the coefficient of x minus 1. Okay, because it's something over x. So if you apply your indices, you will find that it's x to the power minus 1. So I make use of my general formula. If I would like the power to be a minus 1, that means it's 3r minus 16 equal to minus 1. I will get r equal to 5. So if I put in the r equal to 5 here, it will be 8, 5, then 8 minus 5. So this is the coefficient. So if you press out, you'll get 1512. So you put the 1512 here, you multiply to this part, you will get the constant. So essentially, you also need constant times constant. But in this specific question, from the first part, we already know that we can't get, it's not possible to get any constant. Okay, so it's a question that integrates general formula and also the arrow method, which you learn it in binomial.